Guys, it is that time again where a new set is released and I give you decks, right? The only difference this time is I'm doing it a bit late because there is so many things to process with this, with these new cards. Also, it's Christmas, guys. I'm giving you the present of knowledge, right? Knowledge, some ideas, right? The best present ever that I can. Maybe money's better. Money's definitely better, actually. Money's definitely better. But I can't give you money through the internet because, you know, I'm not selling any crypto or anything like that. But yeah, I'm selling you knowledge. I'm giving you knowledge. Hopefully this will help you guys out. Set 4 is absolutely insane. A bunch of grade 4s, a bunch of new decks, certain decks that are like really good now. So let's kind of look at all these new decks. This is the JP format, by the way. So, you know, they might have some cards that we don't have yet, but we'll probably get like Macarai, right? We're gonna get that soon. But yeah, set 4 format. Let's kind of just jump into it. There is a lot of decks, right? I might need to make this like video into like 2 videos next time, the way everything is going. Let's jump into Nirvana. Nirvana got some really good stuff. Let's take a look at it. So straight up, this is like your old Nirvana build, overdress, except now you have your new grade 4, which is really amazing. It basically just gives your front row 10k, so you don't have to like pay costs for it anymore. You just have to have a card in the overdress state and bam, free 10k. Also, you still call grade 0s. It does require a counterblast, and you need to either Soul Blast a Nirvana or you need to discard a card of Nirvana, it's a name. To be able to call a grade 0, so you're likely to call it like your Trickster, and then you deal damage to your opponent if they're on 4 or less damage. So this is a very nice skill. It technically solves like a CB problem because before you're pretty heavy. One thing I do want to say is I was thinking of running like more OG Nirvana, like bump it up to 2, just so I'll never have the problem of missing. And also if you miss like riding a grade 4, at least if you still have the Persona ride, bam, right? You can still Persona ride and it doesn't feel as bad. But overall, the rest of the deck is still pretty standard, right? You know, you got your Shimna, you got Togashi Rashi. This is another card I was thinking of bumping up to 2 just to add in like some extra soul, right? Extra soul. And then we got the new Esmeralda. The Esmeralda basically becomes a huge chunky boy. You put everything underneath it as an when you overdress it. So you overdress it with the Trickstar, and then bam, everything called Trickstar or with the overdress ability in your drop zone goes under it. And then when your Vanguard attacks, you can Soul Blast 1 and stand this unit and gets 5k for each of the original dress units, basically everything under it, alright? So you can become really big. But the second effect, the key thing about the second effect as well is that it doesn't require you to be in an overdress state. So whenever your Vanguard attacks, you can stand this, and then bam, it's standing. It doesn't get the power, but it's still standing. So there's some pretty nice combos you can do with this. One thing is like in the pure light matchup, you don't have to you don't have to overdress it, right? You can still play like the old lame style where you put you boost with tricksters, and then suddenly like they don't get like 10 cards in their prison just from imprisoning your Esmeralda. So you can do that and still get multi-attacks, which is very important in that matchup. Other new cards we got is this new grade 1. It lets you salvage overdress units in your drop zone. And then if you're on grade 4, you countercharge. So it's basically free. So I kind of like this. I looked at it, I'm like, that's not bad, right? That's not bad. So I'm running 2 of it. We're still running Shimano as well, just because she's good. But yeah, again, like the thing I want to say is like, I was thinking, you know, maybe add like another Takashi Rashi, something I like. But yeah, those are kind of the pain points, I'd guess, where you know, there's a lot of ways to work around that. I am running draws. Draws do get buffed. They're now 10k shields. So, you know, there's still that, you know, fight between fronts or draws. Draws got better this time around. So I'm a huge draw fan. So I'm taking draws because these draws are now better. Right, I'm running 1 extra order though. This is kind of a sneaky order. So it's Soul Blast 1 to play, but you choose one of your overdress units in the overdress state. Okay, and then you give the ability when attacks a Vanguard countercharge 1. So ideally you give it to your Esmeralda and then he attacks, then you countercharge 1, then he restands and countercharge. So you technically use less counterblast in this deck compared to before, but this is that one card that can give you the edge to just in case you need it, right? Just in case you need it. So yeah, that's I'm just putting one in to test it out. If it doesn't work, or I find that my counterblast is stable and good enough, I'm just gonna cut that out. Right? I'm just gonna cut that out. Or if I find it's really good, then I'll maybe run another copy. All right, but again, I do think like Soul might be an issue, so like Togashi Rashi at 2 is maybe a good thing if you just want to play around with the ratios and but otherwise, I think this deck is quite strong. Definitely something you have to be careful about because it's pretty solid. Right now, it gets 5 attacks. How good is that? Right, how good is that? Next we got is Eugene. So this is a bit of a meme build for Eugene. So like I said before, right? Looking at this deck, it's like, dude, you're running 3 Esmeraldas. Why is that? And the thing is, it's just what I said before, right? You can restand this card without it needing to be an overdress deck. Now, you're wondering, okay, that's cool. That's a great idea, Kai. But how are you calling this? This is a grade 4, right? The rest of your deck is grade 3. Are you going to ride an Esmeralda and then call it? No, I'm definitely not doing it. Dude, are you crazy? Do you know what Eugene's skill is? You call the top cards of your deck, and hopefully there's an Esmeralda in there so you can get multi-attacks. That's the whole point of this deck. I mean, you can just replace it with a Tribash. That's literally it. But you know, this is high meme potential. You get 5 attacks in Eugene. How crazy is that? And remember, under Persona Ride, it's still hitting 23s and 23s. That's pretty good. Also, you have a lot of soul because you are playing Eugene, so it's not like you're gonna run out of soul. So it's actually not that bad. We're also running the old grade 1. It's like Shigamengo or something like that. She can randomly top deck call as well. But other than that, like the rest of the deck is just call from before. We have this new grade 2 that allows you to retire more and get power. So that's pretty nice. It also soul charge as well. That's pretty nice. But if you find yourself, right, having like these cards in it, like extra Esmeraldas in your hand, you're like, what can I do with this? It's absolutely trash. Just discard them. Discard them for your null guard. Just use Dustin's effect, put them into soul, sorted, right? Problem sorted. Good to go. Just play the rest of your deck as normal. I did minus capture party before I ran out like 3 or 4. I put it down to 2, right? Because overall I found that, you know, some games I didn't see capture party and it was fine. Other games I found that just capture party is absolutely useless. I just put it down to 2. I feel like 2 is a good number, but otherwise we're just gonna have fun with memeing with a bit of Eugene and Esmeralda. See how that goes. If it doesn't work, put back in the Tribash, play the same old. That's how it is, right? That's how it is. But if it works, then let's do it, right? Let's do it. I mean, compared with the other Dragon Empire clans, Ride Lines, this is the only deck that can kind of abuse the Esmeralda because no one else has like grade 4s yet. So, yeah, that's it. But I guess you can also ride him if you really want because he still has triple drive. It's not the worst. It has triple drive, but yeah. that is kind of the meme Eugene deck that I played. Overlord, this list is like the most boring list you're going to ever see. There's literally hardly any changes to this list. Right now, the game plan is just get big and get bulky, right? That's the whole list. And it's kind of stayed the same, except now you can kind of get bulkier because Overlord got a new order that's like just a 20k shield, right? I put 2 of it in just to get bulkier. The rest of the deck I think is already pretty solid. So just go with this and yeah, just bulk up and win, right? Bulk up and win. Next one is Bab Sagara, right? I know there's a lot of Bab fans here. For some reason, the grade 2 has kind of disappeared because I like minus like a copy, but here's the grade 2 that is part of the ride line. Bab is pretty interesting. The idea of this deck is you get Trick Moons out, they boost 25k, you win, right? You basically win. The main combo here is you wanna, the moment you ride grade 3 Bab, you wanna get a spear and like one of the right side use. You want a gun or a shield, right? But you want the spear because the spear lets you equip again. So, bam, double arm, 25, boom, 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 boom. It's time to win, right? Time to win. There's a grade 3 that I'm running here as well. This basically allows you to just get another equip. So, its effect is when it comes in on the rear guard circle, if your Vanguard has one arms already, you can counterblast 1, and then from your hand or drop zone, you can equip another arms to the Vanguard. So, this is like an extra spear, right? Literally an extra spear. And it also gets 5k, right? It gets 5k, so pretty nice. But apart from that, yeah, equip as quick as possible, hit big numbers, get Trick Moons going, because they hit 25. This grade 2 is literally just there, so in case you want to just discard an arms and draw a card. It also gets 5k as well. But yeah, like Madoka is really good, 15k shield. This is a pretty bulky deck overall as well. We run this guy, this booster, this grade 1, not really a booster, with 2 arms. It becomes like +6, so it becomes 13, so it hits numbers. It boosts for 13, so 10 plus 13 is good. Hitting by itself is a 13. Great. All these incredibly nice numbers, right? So yeah, that is pretty much the entire deck. The arms are pretty much whatever, right? Okay, gun, extra drive, nice. But it's all about that spear. It's all about the double equip, hit hard as soon as possible, and your opponent's just gonna run out of handicap. No one can like guard against 25k boosting columns, right? Like your Vanguard's hitting like huge columns, your side columns 35. How is it? No one has the hand to guard. They're nulling and then they're dying, right? That's it. So that's pretty much the idea of the Babs deck. The Bruce deck. Bruce, they have a grade 4 now. This one is definitely I think we need a lot of play testing behind it. This is a preliminary grade 4 list because we want to try new things, right? We want to try new things, but there's going to be a lot of like brain power that needs to go into making this deck very optimized, I feel. So, you know, that's a challenge for you guys out there. Show us what you can do. Nice thing about Bruce is that you don't really care about the old grade 3 Bruce, right? Doesn't need any of that. It just does it by itself. One thing you have to be careful of is the new Bruce does require Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 5. So the previous one didn't. So you can get Counterblast and So technically this deck is slightly heavier in terms of Counterblast. And yeah, right. So you have to be very, very careful. Like Protobulb, I'm still running Protobulb. I don't know if I want to keep running it though, because again, it's an extra counterblast, and I mean, double Vanguard attack is good pressure. It's good pressure. Triple and a single drive, good pressure. We can't run Leonard anymore, so we're back to just running Derricks. But again, I'm trying to go, do I run Edens as well? Eden seems okay, maybe. We're running 2 of this grade 3. The reason why I don't run more is because he requires a Soul Blast 2. But the effect is nice. It gives your front row 5k, and then if you're in Final Rush, it gives your Vanguard a crit, so your restanding crit is really, really nice. But the extra Soul Blast 2 can be very, very painful, because, you know, Soul Blast 5, then Soul Blast 2, and since we're playing Bruce, you have to think of meta decks, right? So we're playing in a Pure Light meta, and Pure Light minuses 2 Soul as well, so I'm thinking there is a situation where this deck is really, really soul-starved. So I'm thinking, okay, you know, maybe I want to run Pandemonium Tactics. So Tactics is a soul charge 4, also a counterblast one. That is very, very heavy counterblast as well. So you're going through your deck very, very quickly, which is what I'm really, really afraid of. But we're running the new order, so I feel like we're kind of forced to run this new order unless we like totally change the way we think about playing this deck. This one is just discard 1 to play it. You countercharge 1, and if you're in Final Rush, you draw 2 and then call 2, and then those cards get 5k. So your Vanguard actually doesn't get 5k. But that's okay. Your Vanguard it's not too terrible, right? It's not too terrible. Your Vanguard does have innate pressure. So yeah, you don't get Persona right anymore. So everything's like hitting lower. So I don't know. It feels like there's a lot more things we can do with this deck. Maybe the entire planet is just not running the grade 4, which is really interesting. But you know, we want to try new things and see how it goes. So yeah, this is kind of my build for Bruce, but I'm just putting it out there. I think this can definitely be iterated upon, and you know, finding the best list is out there. It's out there somewhere, right? Next we got Barrow. So Barrow, I think this Barrow list is just pretty much the same Barrow list from before, but because we got this new Brainwash Swallow, the deck is much more lethal. Right, I was actually thinking of like playing this deck as a super boring deck where you do 3 attacks, but everything is like thrusted, Doreen thrusted because of this brainwash man. But we can just play the old build, the set 3 build, right, which is already pretty consistent, already does a lot of things you want it to do. But this adds lethality because this is late game. If you just play this and a Pandemonium, it gets 25 because it gets 1 by itself, then 4 soul charges. So it gets plus 25k. That is a 33 just by hitting by itself. So your first swings are now like really, really overpowered. With a Curtis, it gets even higher and higher. So there's a lot more lethality to this deck. So I don't think we really need to change much, right? We don't need to change much. Also, we've got more the new draw. Also, you know, extra shield. The crux of this deck is just so solid. I'm thinking you don't really need to change much, which is good, right? Because Barrow's always been the cheap deck, and it still remains cheap, right? That's great. That's great. Next we got Greedon. Greedon is a deck that I actually just don't really like. We got some new toys to play with it. Unfortunately, I think a lot of them just aren't very good, right? We have these new Desire Devils as well. This one, they basically allow you to get some advantage, but overall in the big scheme of things, it's not enough. So during the main phase, when this is placed on the field, you can counterblast 1 and look at the top card of your deck, and then you can call it. And then at the end of the turn, the call cards get retired, but you know, you're gonna suck it in, so it doesn't matter. That's kind of nice, right? It's kind of nice. It is a CB1, but you know, if you see it early, all right, you make fields that Greedon can suck in, so that's pretty good. The other one is this Desire Devil. During your turn, when your other Regard is sucked into the soul via your Vanguard's effect, you can counterblast 1, and then from your hand you call a unit to an empty Regard circle, and if you have 10 more soul, you draw it. So that kind of adds extra multi-attacks to the Greedon play. But like they're nice, right? It adds some extra reach to the deck, but doesn't really solve the problem of you kind of deck out. You still don't do a lot. right? You still don't, you're just doing the same old swing, and of course sometimes you go, surprise, surprise, another card comes out, but that's kind of it. Still not enough pressure in my opinion. I am running 2 Brainwash because just Soul Charge 1 is pretty good, right? That's all I have to say. The Soul Charge 1 is pretty good. Normally you run Gungarams, because, you know, Gungaram has a Soul Charge 1, but you never use Gungaram's second effect because you always want to keep your soul as well, and you don't want to keep on drawing because drawing kind of decks you out. So this card, you can, it's, how do you say it, right? How do you say it? It hits 13. It's pretty nice. It hits 13. Again, like you don't have much Soul Charge cards when you're at grade 3, so there's not much to do there. But you know, it hits 13, so better 13 than nothing, right? Better than 13 than nothing. So pretty cool. And then yeah, that's kind of it. That's kind of it. It's just the kind of your same old Grion deck. Yeah, I'm sure we can do better. I'm sure you guys can do better. Alright guys, now we have Bastion. Bastion is going to be probably one of the most looked at decks for a while, because, you know, Bastion is pretty hype. Pretty hype. Bastion Prime, right? Pretty hype. The effect for him is, you know, your front row get 2k, and the second one is that when you trigger a drive, when your drive check triggers a grade 3, at the end of the battle, you can discard a card with Bastion as card name, or Soul Blast 1 with Bastion as card name, and then you stand on your grade 3s, and then they all get 10k, right? So pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. I'm running 2 Bastions. Again, the way I see it is if you don't draw a grade 4, the secondary Bastion, you can Persona Ride it and still puts on pressure. And it's also grade 3. It's also grade 3, right? Pretty good. Some of the techs I've chose for this is just, we've got Lagrail still here. Alden's still here. They both compete for Counterblast too, but just have to kind of know when to use it. Alden as well, even if you don't use the CB2 for Alden, it stacks power, so always nice. Refluke, just a great card, adds soul, gives 10k. Fasado as well, this is pretty good for the Pure Light matchup, because you put these 2 down, these are your only units, they can't get rid of you, right? They can't get rid of them, it feels bad. Dark Strain is very interesting. So the reason why I'm not running any counter charges is because I don't want to keep anything on the field, but Dark Strain also lets you push very early, and one of the ways to combat like something like a Pure Light matchup is you just drain your soul as well, right? Just get rid of your soul. So we can pop this down as early as possible, Soul Blast everything, and then, you know, that's like a -2 that they can't get into their soul. Like 2 cards from your soul that aren't there, right? So lets you push early, and then afterwards, you know, when these kind of go away, you can just put down more cards and just kind of win through that. Right, Fasado will get you more soul, hopefully. Reflux get you more soul. So it's like kind of similar to what we had from like set 1, except much more stronger, right? Which is great. And then in the non-Pure Light matchups, so maybe your Dark Strain sticks around, and then you still your Bastion Prime turn is absolutely huge as well. So pretty cool. There is a new grade 3 here that is kind of nice. This is basically like Kukabeel, right? So when you place this on the Guardian Circle, if your attacked unit is grade 2 or higher, it gets 10k, and then if it's grade 4, it becomes 20k instead. So just nice 20k shield when you're in Bastion Prime. So pretty good, right? It doesn't require you to have grade 3s on the field, so you can live better, right? You can live better because living's pretty good. And yeah, we got the new draw triggers. I'm running draws just because I kind of want to dig, and then just crits and whatever, right? I'm not running a lot of the new grade 3s. Some of them seem okay, like a Soul Blast 2 to draw a card, and then some will give power, but a lot of them require you to commit them onto the field, and I don't like that, right? I don't like that because, again, I'm afraid of Pure Light. I'm afraid of just, like, committing cards and your opponent going, okay, you just committed your whole hand, let's wipe you. They don't impact enough, right? The way I see it, like, Dark Strain is a huge impact card. 13k boost, 13k boost, 13k boost. It just works. It literally just works. So all the others, like, you know, he gives a 5k, he gets a 5k. You know, it's all right. If it stands, you can do this. No, just kill him, right? Just kill him. You can also, one thing I'm also not running is form up, because the way I see it is, like, form up is kind of hard to do when you're Bastion Prime. With, like, even on the worst case scenario, you still have, like, Lagrel and Old Bastion. That's like 4 drives, and if you don't hit a grade 3, then, well, you either hit all Bastion Primes or you hit a lot of Perfect Guards or you hit triggers. Right, but yeah, with Bastion Prime having just built-in triple drive, I don't think we need form up anymore. So that's why it's just kind of not there. Right. Next we have is Hexa. Hexa is I'm kind of playing a bit of a strange game with Hexa here. I'm going for like more of a multi-attack Hexa orb. So we have basically here's we got the Soul Engine, right, and then we got this counter charge engine. So that's going to help us out a lot. we're running 6 fronts because this new grade 3 that we have here, right? So when your unit attacks at the end of the battle, counterblast 1, and then for that battle's drive checks, you do the below, everything below, right? So if you trigger a crit, you can bottom deck on your opponent's unit, but if you trigger a front, you can stand a grade 2 or lower regard. So ideally, like, you can stack fronts, or you can stack crits, or if you hit both, that's even better. But you attack with a grade 2 first, then you stand it, it's like 4 attacks. Like, how good is that, right? How good is that? Some of these new cards, so S-No-No, right? This allows you to top deck check, you discard a card when it attacks, and you can top deck check, look at top 2, and then you can put them to the top of the bottom deck, and then it gets 10k for the turn. Right, so this is getting value, and if you stand this, extra value, that's pretty good. And then you can, like, when your Hexa triggers like a front, you can put even more power everywhere, so everything becomes really, really big. So that's kind of nice. You can see I'm not running any Kakaroni or Kakaron from set 3, because that actually, it lets you look at top 2, but doesn't let you remove empties. So if you look at top 2 and they're both triggers, it's great. But if you look at top 2 and they're both blanks, then you're done, right? You're triggering kind of blanks this turn unless you're able to shuffle the deck. Other key cards are running 2 Pentagleam because, like, her top deck check is free and she gets to put it to top or bottom. Owain lets us stack as well, so yeah, I like Owain. It's good. It's good. Of course, it does require soul, but again, we have the soul charging engine. And then Totris, right? Totris, because she lets us get a persona right every time we don't have it. So overall, I'm trying out this multi-attack kind of play. If not, we just go back to old 3-attacker Hexa. There is a card, the grade 1, that allows you to stand another unit as well when you trigger a trigger unit, but that requires like counterblast ones and soul blast ones. So that could be pretty heavy. And my grade 1 slots are kind of full, right? Because I want like good solid grade 2s and 3s and things like that. So yeah, but this one is running slightly more fronts, just to kind of trigger that off. But yeah, triggers are good. Right, triggers are good. So yeah, that's kind of it. That's kind of the new Hexa orb that I'm trying out. We got PvD. PvD technically did get better. They got a lot of decent new cards. The best one is probably just this new grade 1. So when you play it from hand, right, if you have a Blaster Vanguard, you can discard a card from your hand. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. And then you can call the unit cards. You can call up to 2 unit cards onto the field rested, and then discard the rest. So ideally, you go, hey, look, 2 unit cards, call it out, and then sack them with PvD, right? Pretty cool. There is this new grade 2 as well, which is during a turn, if you've sacked 2 or more units, this turn, it gets 10k. So it's like 20k beta, hits bigger. That's pretty cool. Nice. And then, PvD has this new defensive order, which is just gives 15k if you're Blaster Vanguard, and then you can sack 1 to give another 15k. So nice 30k shield is pretty good. Otherwise, the rest of the deck is just the same as before. I don't expect a lot from this deck, but if these kind of helped it out, that's great. We're still running ease just to get extra cards. But yeah, that's kind of it. Kind of boring, but at least Blaster's got quite a few new cards for support, which is good. It's good to see. Magnolia Elder. All right, this guy is I don't know how to think of this deck. It's pretty strange. There's a lot of old cards that we can't use, but at the same time, Elder just solves all your problems, right? It solves all your problems. His first effect is that when it comes into play, you can call a card from your soul into the regard circle. So free cards. That's nice. And then the second effect is if your soul or regard has a Magnolia in its card name, all your regards can attack from the back row and intercept from the back row, and they get power plus 5k. Alright, so that basically solves all the inconsistencies or things where you're like, I want a Persona ride Magnolia, but I can't, so my turn is absolutely scuffed. Hope I have a Dama Inaru to make things happen. Now it doesn't matter. You just ride this and go, triple drive, everything has slightly more power. It's Poke City, right? It's Poke City. What we're doing, that just makes things like this Prize Trident 100% easier to run, right? You want to counter charge in soul? Here you go. Here's your solution, because Elder solves that, right? We're running 2 of this grade 1. This is just like a 2 card forced call when it attacks from the back row. So nice poke him 13k, but they have to call it 2 cards. Pretty good. We're running 4 Gynosera. We have, since we don't use Persona, we don't use Magnolia's effect anymore as much, right? We save on Counterblast, we can use it for other things like Gynosera, and Price Trident works pretty much every single time, so yeah, Counterblast is much more free. We're also running Gabrig, just because, the formation is like 3 pokes from the back and 2 things at the front that are pretty big. Gabrig can get pretty big, and then, get some sort of guard restrict is pretty nice. So yeah, some nice good pressure cards. Got this new grade 2 that when you place it on the rearguard circle, you can soul blast 1, and from your drop zone, call the same card. Call this card into an empty rearguard circle. So, you know, just extra cards is nice. And when it attacks, if you have a Magnolia in the Vanguard circle, this unit gets 5k. So, you know, 14 by itself, then Elder, if it's in the back row. Is it actually Elder? Yeah, so... Oh no, so everything just gets 5k. So this will become like 19k regardless where it is. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's just pretty good. Wild Intelligence is just here as well, just to like search out specific cards that we need for like our push. Apart from that, this deck is just very... I guess we'd call it like very standard now, you know, like it just does its job like well. There's less inconsistencies with it, so we just kind of fill out on the other parts that it was lacking from before, and now we have a pretty generally good deck. We're on 3 Magnolias as well, in case we don't see our grade 4 Magnolia, but you know, it's just extra Magnolias that we can put down for grade 4 Magnolia's effect. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going with this easy multi-attack deck. You can probably run like Elenias or things like that, just to kind of push harder earlier. Because again, like, you know, problems with Soul and all that kind of solved when Price Trident goes off every single time. Right, pretty good. Zorgo. So Zorgo is pretty interesting. I think this one is definitely going to be a favorite for a lot of people out there, because there's a lot more tools that we have with Zorgo. The Mimi grade 3 that's 5k, I'm running like 1 copy. I kind of want to fit in more, but there's just like not enough space in the deck, right? The problem with this deck is always space. This one is just like when you play a normal order, you call it from the rearguard circle and it gains one of the following effects, but if you Alchemagic, you get both. So the effects are plus 10k or plus 1 crit. So ideally just kind of fills out your field, like on a weak turn where you do like a spiritual condensation and then something else. This will just come out as well, so it feels like an extra slot. That's pretty nice. We're still running the Dark Souls dude, right? It just gets nice power. It's pretty good. I like running 4 Shadow Cloak because it's free. It gets you everything you want. And then this is just a nice booster and extra counter charge. There is this new grade 2 though, right? This is this new grade 2. So this one is at the end of the turn. If you've played if you Alchemagic orders this turn, or you've done 5 or more attacks, you can put this card into your soul and counter charge 1. So it actually solves 2 of your problem, like counter charging and soul charging. So I think this is pretty... I want to run more, but there's just no space. So 2 is pretty good. You probably just use like one or two times a game, but you can, because you're Zorgo, you always can call them out from the drop zone anyway. So that's pretty nice. And then the order lineup is just kind of like 1 Agony, like 4 Despair. You can probably cut a Despair if you want. 3 Spiritual because it's free. There's something. There's a new free card as well. That's kind of like a mini one of this, but that lets your opponent pick. So I'm not a huge fan. This grabs your order back, and this new Blitz order is pretty cool. So Soul Blast 1. I like this one because it draws a card as well. So it replaces this card. So draw a card, and then pick one of your units, and for each card, for each of your different order cards in your drop zone and bind zone, that card gets 5k. So you can pick your Vanguard, it gets really big, but it also replaces itself. So I kind of really like that, and it gives, of course, it's Soul Blast 1, but because there's more ways to generate soul now, I'm kind of okay with that. I do know what, not really, like, I think it's like Handrina, right? Which negates soul cost, but again, we have more ways to generate soul now, so not too fussed. The Soul Blast 2 is kind of fine. Yeah, that's where it is. That's how it is. Next we have is Flagberg. Alright, Flagberg got some nice buffs, but I still think it's not enough. It still has the clunkiness problem. Main thing is it got this new grade 3, right? So this grade 3 is that when you have a grade 3 Vanguard, on the attack, when it attacks, it's the first battle of that turn, right? If your Vanguard is Flagberg, if you can Soul Blast 1 and then stand this card. So it kind of conflicts with this card, right? Because they both require you to be on 1, the first attack, but you kind of look at this as an extension of this card. If you don't, you're running 6 copies of a first attack restander, which is okay. Like, it's okay. The second effect though is also very good. So at the end of your turn, if you've done 4 or more attacks this turn, you put this into your soul and draw 1. So I've said it before how Flagberg has a soul problem, but this kind of rectifies that and also draws you a copy, so it replaces itself. That's really, really nice. That's really, really good. So overall, this has like 2 decent effects. A restand to make, like, it restands itself to make more attacks, but also kind of filters through your deck, which is always good. The only thing that like I don't really like about this deck is there's still a heavy reliance of you like comboing cards. So I guess it's kind of like an Aquaforce thing, Maelstrom thing, but it just adds more inconsistency to the deck. In terms of Soul, right, I'm still running 2 of the Red Girl to Soul Charge 2. I have 3 Spiritual Condensation, just so you can Soul Blast one of your 3s and call it out again. So that's pretty nice, right? That's pretty nice. And then you just get your key cards. You get your key cards, and then you got your like Ascendance Assault as well. This is like your only other multi-attacker. So if you're missing this, your Condensation can call this or like your other card that you're missing, and then that's how you make the 5 attacks, right? But otherwise, yeah, the rest of the deck, you're still running Mantis because you want the extra power. Trident, you're running 2 of, but Trident's much more easy to hit off now. And then the rest of the deck is just pretty self-explanatory, I feel. Moving on to Serif Snow, right? Serif Snow. I'm trying out new cards in this deck, right? Because again, new set. We want to try out new things. We're running. Let's look at Pure Light first, right? Pure Light is insane. I think this card is like the best card released. So when this is placed on your Vanguard, so you can counter +1, Soul Blast 1 card with Serif in its card name, and then your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand, Soul and Field, and imprison them. So +6 to the prison. And destroys their soul. It's in their hands. So it's just insane. It's actually insane. And then the second effect is continuous. So you just get 5k for every 2 cards in your prison. And then if you have 10 or more, your front row gets take a crit. So your front row gets 5k for each 2 cards in your prison. And then yeah. So when you get 10 cards in the prison, it's plus 25k in a crit. That's insane, right? You're just destroying your opponent by that time. I'm still running 3 of the old Serif Snow because she has a Regard effect, guys. Regard effect, counterblast 1, and you get to just imprison 2 of their units. So no frills, just imprisoning. And then yeah, we've got Rouge, nice bulky power, or nice bulky shield, and it gets some power, but also imprison the field. Turquoise, in case I want to call anything out, I'm still trying this out. I think it's okay. And then Macarite, because it's just like the easiest imprisoning unit in the game. So you just place it and free. It's free. We're not running any bug murders because the opportunity time that bug murder is useful is very, very low now. You're like, okay, tap, but then bam, right? When you get up to Pure Light, your prison problems are just gone. We have this new grade 1 though, which is if you have a Serif Vanguard, it gets 5k, so it's basically just 13k. So nice, you can push it up or boost for 13. And then when you place it from hand on the Regard Circle, if your prison has 3 or more units, 3 or more cards, right? You can search your deck for the same copy of this card and call it. So, yeah, you just put it down, get another one. You can push them up. They hit 13, then plus X, right? Lots of power. Very, very, very. It's free. It is literally free, right? So literally no downside. Well, just running 1 Barrowmean just in case we need one counter charge or the counter blast. Soul. Right? One more soul or 1 counter charge. But otherwise, I don't think it's that important. If this card just doesn't work out, we can just run just anything else. I think the weakness currently with this build maybe is that it has too much field prisoning when we could run more cards that like imprison for a hand. I know there was like a card that's like on hit as well to forces your opponent to imprison a card from their hand. But that requires an on hit, and I'm a huge fan of those kind of on hits, right? But yeah, I think overall this should be pretty nice. There'll be some tweaks to it, of course. Maybe I want to run the grade 2 from set 3 that forces your opponent to imprison a card from the hand and then draws, because it's just extra kind of cards. But overall, the space in this deck is quite limited, right? There's definitely something we're gonna need to cut. It's just a question of what it is, right? But otherwise, pretty cool. Orfist is like, actually, I feel like is the biggest loser out of all the Bradgate decks. It doesn't get that many new toys, right? Its game plan is still very, very samey, but it got this new grade 2 that is it's surprisingly decent. So it has 2 effects. So if the first effect of this on the Regard Circle is if you're in a Dark Knight or Abyssal Dark Knight, this unit gets boost and can intercept them back. Right, and then the second one is on the Guardian Circle. If your world is Abyssal Dark Knight, it gets plus 10k shield. So it's like 15k shield that can intercept from the back, and can boost, right? Boost. But what you might not realize is that the first effect already gives a boost, right? You just have to have an order card in your. You have one world card, and you can already pop off of it. So right, a 10k boost on grade 2 is pretty good. It's actually pretty good. So you can. This kind of adds more to the rush that Orfist can do, which I kind of like. So you just get one of your Moonlights, put it out, 15k token, then the Vanguard gives 5k somewhere else. Then you can put a bunch of these down, like hitting 25-25. What is your opponent gonna do, right? What is your opponent gonna do? And your grade 2s as well. They hit like 12s on the turn 2. On your grade 3 turns, they hit 15. So you're boosting with that as well, with a 10k. It's hitting 25. It's still hitting numbers. So overall, like, it's pretty good. And then your grade 1 searches some orders, and that's kind of it. So I feel like this is how I want to go with this deck. Not many changes, but just the existence of this grade 2 adds a lot of aggression, but also some decent defense, because again, it's like a 15k shield, right? So pretty good. And then lastly, we have is Gravidia. I actually rate Gravidia quite high. I like it quite a lot. The cards that are released in the set just basically solve all its problems, right? All its problems. Before we had a problem where, hey, we run out of meteors. Now you don't. Meteors go back to your deck. Before, you might have a problem where you don't get enough meteors in your deck, right? Because, or not in your world zone, right? Because you do one big push, then you're out of meteors, right? But now you have multiple turns of pressure. So basically every single problem with the Gravidia deck has basically been fixed with this. The key cards are this alien looking man. This just when it's placed on the field on the rearguard circle, Soul Blast 1, and just grab a meteor from the drop zone and put in the order zone, right? So you discard your meteors, the meteors that you draw, just discard for the right line and get them back. That's so good, right? And then the second effect is during your turn, if your opponent's rearguard has been retired, this gets 5k, but if 3 more have been tried, he also gets a crit. So if they've committed a field, bam, extra pressure. And then this new grade 2 as well is just act once per turn, Soul Blast 2. And then you can return up to 5 meteors from the drop zone into your deck and shuffle it. But if you return 1 back, it gets 5k. If you return 3 back, it gets another 5k. And then if you return 5 back, it gets another 5k. So overall, you can get up to 15k. But, the key card is just returning back meteors, right? Turning back meteors. And we got a new meteor now, which is the big meteor, which just counts for 2. It just basically counts for 2. So overall, like, you can run less meteors. I'm running like 8 and 4. Because this also kind of adds up to 16. So these 4 times 2 is like 8 and 8. So overall, your meteor count is like better now. Just one thing though, with your Gravidia, you still want to search the old meteor because that lets you draw 1. But otherwise, yeah, everything is solved with this deck. Everything is like fixed with this deck. So I'm really liking this deck. This deck is really, really nice. And very, very strong and very scary to play against. Because, when you have like 2 successive turns of like double triggers, you're like, dude, if I don't have a null here, I could just immediately die, right? Immediately die. So yeah, very, very scary and can pop off very, very quickly. So that is all, I think. Hopefully I did not miss any deck, right? I think that's all the ride lines covered. It's pretty long. It's a pretty long video. Hopefully, well, if they release more ride lines, I'm gonna have to kind of halve it like soon. But yeah, guys, do your testing, right? These are just preliminary lists, right? These are I've kind of explained to you my thoughts on how these decks should be built. You might have different ideas. You might want to play it more aggressive, you want to play it more defensive. There is actually a lot of options still available to you. So just take a look. You can use these as a starting point and just kind of, because you get your cards and you want to play them. And yeah, just happy holidays, guys. It's Christmas very, very soon. So yeah, stay safe and hope you guys will have fun playing Vanguard. But have a good time with your family. Maybe take a break as well. Alright, so that is kind of it for me. Let me know in the comments what you think and what decks you like, what decks you might not like, and what cards you like from set 4. Alright, that's it. Alright, see you guys next video. Alright, bye.